hello. There's nothing on the screen because this is one of them games that just like starts the moment you start it, no matter what you do, and there's like no access to a menu. And I'm like, oh no. Yeah. So we're gonna play Where the Water Tastes Like Wine. We're gonna get a little story time. So let's try it. I think I got it set up. Let's try it. I'll boot it up. There we go. Simple game of cards.
Night has fallen and you're weary from travel. Stars fill the sky above, and in front of you is a brightly lit wooden house, the only building you've seen for days. You walk toward the house, hearing the sounds of laughter and talk as you reach the door and push it open.
All right, sounds good.
You sit down and join the game. It's a cheap buy-in, and not many of the other players are very good.
That's good.
The lady fiddling with dice gets good cards, but has no real strategy. The man to your right seems to just hold on to the highest cards he has, regardless of suit or any consideration of matches. The man in gray across from you, though, he's good. He already had the largest pile of coins when you bought in, and while your winnings grow quickly, you can't quite catch him.
Apparently I'm good at poker. Good to know.
One by one, the other players leave the table, sometimes with pique or with wry humor, leaving their winnings with you or the man in gray. Finally, it's just you and the man in gray. He looks at you, full of humor, and winks. Last hand?
Yeah,
He
man.
deals, you draw, and look at your hand. It's good. It's great. The best hand, in fact. A royal straight flush. Spades. Aces high. But the man in gray pushes forward his whole pile. You're not sure exactly how much it is, but it's more than you've got. You can't match that. The man in gray stops you. Now, if you like, I'll let you wager your word. I know you'll be good for it. Just promise you'll pay the debt, however I ask. Yep. 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace. All spades.
All right, yeah. Yeah, making a promise.
The man in gray smiles. All right, then. I'll call.
Oh, hi there, buddy.
Well, your luck wasn't so good, was it? That's quite the hand, but not for the game we're playing. I'm afraid you owe me. Your life, sure, but more than that. Your labor.
All right. Yeah. Maybe I need a job, I don't know.
You see, this land is built on stories. It's one big story, this country, woven of many small, Few of the small ones are strictly true, and the big story is mostly a lie.
That sounds about right.
All the stories and songs and myths and legends start somewhere, with a seed. As they're told and retold and passed around, they grow and change to become the stories we know.
Alright, yeah, sure.
To pay your debt to me, you'll be carrying stories, finding the seeds first and then spreading them, telling them onwards so they can begin gaining strength. This is no light task. Stories are heavy. Most of the stories you'll find will be small seeds. They might be true, but they grow wild and unbelievable with the telling. The more important stories are the true ones, the ones people will tell you about their own lives. Those often get lost in the weaves of the big story.
Yeah, that makes sense. You gotta get the truth, get you the truth.
The more true stories you can find and tell, the more you can weave that truth into the big story. Tarnish it a bit perhaps, but isn't a dingy and battered truth better than a shining lie?
I guess so.
Now, go ahead. You tell me a story. I'll trade you some information about your task.
Oh, okay. Travel choice. World. Do I have a menu yet? No. Okay, staves, justice. Okay. I go with travel. Northbound train, blinking its giant eyes across the night. Endless series of doors of different kinds, leading only to more doors. Parting the cloud of fog to reveal a brief glimpse of land of promise and plenty. Tossing a pair of bone dice on a blood-red velvet table to come snake eyes and wink at you. Oh my. Black and gray city where every building is filled with desiccated corpses. Yeah, that sounds like me. There you go. Tell the story of a black and gray city where
I'll strip away your
desiccated
flesh
corpses.
to make the journey easier, but still you'll feel pain. Hunger, weariness, thirst, and despair. They're all part of stories, the part not often told. And death, yes, but don't worry. As long as your task remains, you come back.
Alright. Alright. Tell the story of a bunch of doors. Tell the story of endless series of doors of different kinds.
You sometimes have to make choices about what kind of story you're finding. Is it a love story or a tragedy?
Okay.
Don't gather too many of one kind, though. This grand story needs variety.
Sure. What about travel? The northbound train blinking its giant eyes.
Travel? That's your job. Wander from place to place, gather those stories and spread them.
Alright.
People get bored hearing the same stories over and over. But an old cliche in one state might be a rip-roaring new yarn in another.
Sure. Alright. Parting cloud of fog to reveal a brief glimpse of the land of promise and plenty.
Your deepest desires? Your greatest wish? Heaven? Big Rock Candy Mountain? El Dorado, the Promised Land, that place just over the ridge where they all say that the water tastes just like the sweetest wine.
The sweetest wine. That's the title.
Well, I don't know where that is. It's It's supposed to be somewhere in this country. Ask the people you meet. They're all searching for the same thing.
Okay. Tossing the bone dice on a blood red table and they come up snake eyes.
It's just luck. Funny how bad luck seems to follow the folks who already have problems aplenty.
Yeah.
Well, try your luck out there in this country. See how the dice treat you. It's not all bad. You'll have to work hard, but I'll give you the gift for seeing the true shapes of people. Not many who can do that. Go on your way, Seeker. Maybe we'll meet again, or maybe not. Either way, it'll be an experience for you. I'm jealous in some ways. I hope you find what you're looking for.
Oh, thanks. I will try. Okay. Now I have a menu. Oh, let's see. Look at all these abilities I have. Oh. You know what I don't like? I don't like full screen. Oh, there we go. Oh, I can whistle. All right.
This bungalow is being ransacked.
Oh, okay.
There's furniture piled in the front yard, ammunition heaped under the mailbox, and a crowd of clean-cut men ripping apart a car in the driveway. The two heavily armed, mud-caked women leaning over the porch railing share the same bored grin. One shouts at you. "Lend a couple innocent gals a cigarette?"
Yeah, sure.
You are about to hand her a smoke when those men draw pistols and shove you hard into the dirt. "You know these girls?" they demand. Once they've dumped your bag out into the road, they decide you're harmless. "If you were selling booze too, you'd have a lot more cash," sneers one. On the porch behind him, the two bootleggers are fingering their empty rifles, grinning in disappointment.
Woman arrested for bootlegging. Okay. H to view the manual. Okay. Alright, my goal is to fulfill obligation by finding all 16 characters, trade stories. Okay. Finish the story. Better versions. Sure, Yeah, sure. Meet a character. Change stories. Okay, great. My inventory stories 237. Dang, got a lot of stories to go. Well, I'm in Maine. Okay. Oh, that's my hitchhike button. see. Center camera, hitchhike, whistle.
Off the road and into the woods, you can't help but come across this package by the old tree tied to a sturdy stick. The cloth wrapping conceals, though not particularly well, something large and softly unsettled. Little eyes blink back at you from inside the bundle.
Hi, bundle.
The shape gives a start.
Please don't tell my pa that I'm in here.
It says in a small voice.
Okay.
Pa doesn't want to live with us anymore. But I want to go with him. Don't tell him, please. I'm hiding.
Godzilla.
You tell the boy you'll keep his secret. You don't see his father anywhere. You don't see another soul for miles.
It's Portland.
They don't come every year, you know. The old man is sitting at the edge of a rotting old pier, crooked legs dangling over the water. He watches a pair of seagulls preen and groom each other on a rock just off the shore. Just when the fishing is going to be good. He taps great, black, thick globs of spent tobacco out of a huge ceramic pipe. I got another year, I guess.
Another year of what?
Another year of this town being here, he replies, letting a grin spread across his face. If the seagulls came, that means enough fish to keep it in place.
That's fair.
The woman walks the small town square with the poise of Betty Davis. A confident stride and inimitable mannerisms elevating the sidewalk into a plush Hollywood carpet. And wrapped around her neck, a yellow velvet ribbon, bright as an ocean sunrise. You question a well-dressed man parked outside an oyster house. Prudish woman. I took her on a fine date and she didn't remove so much as a ribbon. Excuse me, can you step back from the coupe? That's the spirit. You decide to seek a second opinion.
Yeah, second opinion, probably a good idea.
You talk with a waitress smoking outside a diner. Something funny about her. Just showed up one day. Doesn't work, doesn't live anywhere far as I know. Just around. Myself, I'd love to know who made all her beautiful clothes. You ask the woman if you may join her at a public bench.
You may. Lovely outside, isn't it?
Her eyes are a beautiful shade of brown. Beneath the yellow ribbon, a thick, fibrous scar wraps around her throat.
Weather like this, it reminds me of Paris.
Elegant woman in a small town, sure.
You can see storm clouds on the horizon, and you don't relish the thought of being caught wandering this rocky seaside road in the rain. Fortunately, you find the lighthouse door open, with a daunting staircase before you.
Yeah, let's
At
climb
the
up.
top of an ornate wrought iron spiral, you're breathless and feeling the strain on your knees. Rain already batters the walls outside. You can only knock on a heavy wooden door leading into the upper level. Muffled voices and light seep in beneath the door,
Now let's put our ears to the door and listen.
Looks like we got a visitor. Sounds like a man's voice, deep and rough.
Well, behave yourself. I'll open the door.
Another man, this one with a higher, more sonorous voice. I always behave myself. He feigns indignation, but his tone betrays affection instead. After a moment, the door unlatches from the inside and opens. The man before you is tall and muscular, with a hint of a paunch beneath his wide chest. The heavy iron knob on the door looks nearly dainty in his huge hand.
Didn't want to be out in this rain, did you? Come in.
Yeah, of course. I'll step inside.
Despite the rough exterior, this room looks like a well-appointed parlor. There's a rug on the well-trod wooden floor and an enormously plush couch. And sat upon it is a stocky fellow grinning through a great hazel-colored beard. Tea? He offers, hoisting a teapot.
Been here long?
A few years.
The tall one sits on the sofa, wrapping his arm casually around the other lighthouse keeper. 5, says the smaller, but by no means small, man.
That long? Time flies. We traveled together before that. You must have some good stories from the road, huh?
No, I have some.
You wake up the next morning on their old sofa, still warm from an excess of tea. And cakes? There might have been little cakes. Prodigious snoring rumbles in from the floor above you, and you quietly take your leave.
Alright, we're hitchhiking now, baby. Enter Boston. Okay.
A dusty truck and a man on horseback pull up next to one another in front of the grocer. Suddenly, the driver and the rider, two wiry old men with identical haircuts, start shrieking at one another.
What is going on?
The man with the truck leaps into the street.
Brother!
He shouts. The one on the horse tumbles out of his saddle.
Brother!
He screams. They embrace in the road.
30 years!
Hollers the driver. The rider, tears streaming down over his face, corrects him.
No! 32!
Oh, wow.
Everyone here is watching these two older men cry and hug one another in the middle of Main Street. Cars and wagons are backing up. People are yelling.
Take a photo of us!
The driver begs you. Starts hauling a tripod out of the bed of his truck.
Say cheese.
The long-lost brothers pose in front of traffic, cry snot pouring out of their noses. As angry passerby wave you out of the road, each brother presses a coin into your hand. When the traffic disperses, you realize they overpaid you quite a shocking amount.
Oh, that's nice. Let's see what's in Boston, I guess. Oh. It's store? Hot apple cider, clam chowder, scrambled eggs, iced tea. Okay.
This city is like no other you've been to. Crooked streets splay out in a maze of narrow passages, no two alike. Soon, you find yourself in twilight, utterly lost. Bright light crests around one corner. A car approaching.
Yeah, hail the taxi cab, sure.
Compelled by the cold and foreboding night, you don't question it as you drag your bones into the cab. But you realize immediately how strange the vehicle is. It's a sleek thing, like a shallow parabola gliding over the street.
Let's take a look at the driver.
Where to? He asks. You have to stop and think. Eventually, you name Boston Common, the only landmark you know in this town. He peels off silently. You feel the car move before you hear the engine.
Just look out the window.
He takes you through ever odder streets, flanked by painfully clean, gleaming buildings and signage for businesses you don't recognize. Even the air seems different. It doesn't smell so sharply of gasoline and coal. Eventually, you come to a stop.
There you go, driver.
The fare's in glowing numbers above his dashboard. It's much too high. Surely a mistake. No charge, he insists. You look like you need a break. And then you find yourself on the curb at Boston Common, under thick moonlight, in a city much as you'd left it before.
Odd silent taxi cab in Boston. Okay. Earn money. Panhandle or look for work? I'll look for work. Like to change the side corner store when a cashier sticks us out the window and shouts, "Hey, got time? Want a little cash?" Yeah, hook me up. We get cases of compressed pop fizz in the back room. Go through like 3 of these a week now. People in town are absolute fiends for soda. There's 3 soda jerks in the neighborhood alone. We're still making a killing. That is wild. Can't stand the stuff though, he admits, and I'm not sure it's right. How do you mean? I've read the ingredients, curled my hair, no lie. After warning, he tosses you some cones and gets back to selling soda. Alright. I guess I could have taken the train, but...
Clouds roll together to fill the sky.
Watch the sky churn.
The lightning is so strong that it seems to open a path in the haze above you. You are sure you see massive talons curved around the clouds.
Ooh, Thunderbird.
The thunder is so immense that the ground trembles. Your lips and hands tingle from the electric charge that fills the air until the dancing lightning passes on over the hills.
Camp, okay.
Hey there, stranger. You're welcome to enjoy this fire with me, if you're respectful, that is. This here is my spot, and I ain't inclined to share it with any bad characters. You can call me Quinn.
Hey, Quinn.
These here are my venturing companions. Cass is the big un, and the one with the spots is Flip.
Hi, Cass. I Flip.
I usually beat my way on the rails, but the road news said this town was fat, and the weather was fine. So I'm taking in the sights and seeing what I can drum up. Hey, tell me one of those exciting stories.
Okay. They organized by subject because the boss likes tarot cards. Subject of each story here. Tell us a story about love, for example. They will tell you something about life related to the subject of love. Poor things. That goes on. They'll move from left to right. Reach the right side, the night's over, and so is your storytelling. The person you're talking to will usually tell you where they'll be next so you can find them again. Tell them the type of stories they request, you'll gain trust and the eye will open. Once fully, next time you meet them, They'll open up about their life. You'll remember this from conversation to conversation, so don't feel like you need to do it all at once. Okay. I want a thrilling story. Yeah, massive thunderstorm around Boston, yeah. That's thrilling.
Well, that was something. You spin a good yarn.
Thanks.
This land sure is something, ain't it? I can't wait to see it all. Tramping like I do makes me realize the land's another kind of companion. It's always with you. Maybe things are so depressed because folks lost sight of that. I want to hear one of them venturing tales. Got any?
I don't know if I have another adventuring tales. Let's see. 2 lighthouse keepers, seagulls and fishermen. Target woman. Well, let's talk about the bootlegging. That's kind of exciting. Story of the 2 women arrested for bootlegging.
Well, that was a lively tale. Authority, bosses and such. I ain't nobody's little Angelina, if that's what you're asking. I take care of myself and my dogs. I don't need no jocker looking out for me, so if you're offering, don't. Shoot, I thought I told you to be respectful. You want to keep enjoying my spot or not? Think about that. I want to hear a story about ghosts or murderers or something. Scary stuff.
Okay, scary stuff. The boy's pretty scary. The taxi cab's kind of creepy. Let's do the taxi cab. So the odds have a taxi cab in Boston.
Not sure I quite follow that one. What's my future look like? I ain't looking for a traveling companion, if that's what you mean. I do fine by myself, so just stick to minding your own. Hey, do you got any really thrilling stories to tell? I'm hankering for one of those.
I feel like I'm all out of thrilling stories, but tell about the 2 brothers.
What's the use in telling sweet happy tales if in they make you snooze?
It's fair.
My family. There ain't no way I'm gonna start jaw flapping about those bastards. Judases, the lot of them. Enough said.
Fair.
Hey, tell me a funny story. You seem like you still got a sense of humor.
Funny story. How about this cute gay couple?
I don't get too much out of tales that are so cheerful. Not enough excitement for me. Well, I don't know a whole lot about the past, but they say there's an Injun grave around these parts. Say it's haunted and full up with angry spirits.
Oh.
I used to love hearing stories of cowboys and Injuns fighting it up. Would swap tales with the youngins. But, well, I suppose if someone shot me, I'd be pretty vengeful too.
That's fair.
Oh, heck, the night's over already. I sure enjoyed talking to you, but I gotta get on. I think I'll see what's happening up the road this way.
Alright.
The tramping life suits me just fine. Every day is a venture. With things being so depressed, folks walk around like it's the end of everything good. But it ain't.
Okay.
Plenty nice things to see if you know where to look.
I guess that's true. Walk down the road with black cloak fellas and down to lane your path. Looks you Coxswain speaks. Well, you got a long road ahead, don't you? All these people chase down, or so I hear. It's experience when it comes to chasing folks. Tell me about it. Why don't you go find your friend again? Ask them more about their life. They'll have better stories this time, though. It peers up at you. Didn't they tell you where they're heading next? Yeah. Hey, the world's full of people. Bet you can find another friend like that if you really went looking around. It's one of the one interesting person in this land for sure. Scrabble laugh. That's what the humans say anyway. That launches in the air and disappears. Bye, Crow.
I won't leave much behind to drag you down.
The edge of summer has turned the ocean choppy and misanthropic, and the skies miserably gray. The boardwalk prophetess lured you into her tent with a promise to read a fortune for free. Seems like business is slowed to a crawl already.
Alright, let's sit down. Have a fortune told.
Before you lie the instruments of her profession. There's tarot cards, Rider-Waite, but also Marseille for traditionalists, rosary beads and costume jewelry, and of course, the centerpiece, a great glass globe.
Yeah, let's hear my fortune.
With practiced theatricality, she goes directly for the crystal ball, letting her eyes unfocus as though she can see a great distance into it.
Good sport or
She
be
brings
a
up
dick.
names, places, asks if you've known someone called John, if you have a relative in Newark.
I'll be a good sport.
You latch on to what she says, and together you dance towards some insights about your romantic prospects. It's relieving to meet an honest charlatan instead of the ghouls and ghasts of the road. You might even say you're having fun, until she abruptly stops talking.
Uh-oh, what's wrong?
Your eyes, she says, her voice suddenly drained of the bassy drama that was her stock in trade. You've met him. You've seen him, too. You carry him with you.
Yes. Did you miss me?
The words that come out of your mouth are not your own. They seem unwilling or unable to form properly out of a human throat. They're more like snarls, warning noises of a vicious animal.
Let's try to move.
The glass globe shatters. Your vision is hazy, and your body is not your own. You came far to get away from me, the voice lodged inside you says. But this one has a way of wandering. The fortune teller has collapsed, cowering. Consider your debt to me repaid.
No. Well, let's just block out,
When you come to your senses, you're lying face down on the rough wood of the boardwalk, sore and weak. An empty patch of wood, cleaner than the surrounding planks, is all that remains of the fortune teller's tent.
When my toes burn low and my trains run out of track, I won't be
Here's a story. Man reads the newspaper, very contained horror. Grim spring wider and wider as he makes his way down the page. Suddenly his friend cracks into something with a little more amazement in it. Whoa, he says. What's the matter? So at a blessed lighthouse sanctuary where souls in love could find respite. You're shocked. It's the story of the two lighthouse keepers. Some bits change. Think this really happened? He asked. Oh yeah. Sounds like nonsense to me for sure. The stuff they put in print these days.
I'm cold and empty. They're the ones who'll bury me.
Oh, New York. stinks of gasoline and trance, and you're Boston by brick, but damn, there's something invigorating about that stink. God, you feel like there's an indigent in your chest. Alright. A fresh bagel. Nice.
The engines belch black smoke as the ferry churns gray water into froth. A broad-shouldered figure leans out over the rail, eyeing the skyscrapers on the horizon. Nearby, a man and a woman speak in low, urgent voices. He takes her wrist gently. She is weeping softly.
No, let's listen to the couple.
I wish you didn't have to go.
She says,
There's got to be work on some of those buildings going up.
his thumb skates over her pulse point.
I checked every day for a week. There ain't. I'll be back, though. Got your picture in my wallet, don't I? It's not forever.
Let's just keep eavesdropping.
Her words are split by a sob.
Might as well be. My parents didn't come to New York for this.
She leans against him, the wind tousling her hair. He pulls her to his chest.
I'm leaving because I gotta go. If there was another way...
They stand together, close, quiet, in the stiff breeze.
Oh, that's nice. Couple parted by unemployment. Okay. Let's look for work. Tell one with a lush fur coat standing outside a boutique lamp store with packaging nearly as tall as she is. You there. Can you lift this? Yeah, sure. I'm willing, but light as anything. Carry it down to my house and we'll work something out, the woman declares. Package follower. She begins a rambling story about her living room, her interior decorator, and her taste in rugs. Fascinating, ma'am. By the sound of her voice, the lamp box is so large you can't see a thing. Eventually she screams, here we are, thank God. Lay the box down in her living room. It's nowhere near as luxurious as she made it sound. A card table, a ratty couch, wall tapestry done in grotesque imitation of medieval style. This will really tie the room together, she exclaims. At least she tips you.
As you walk along the river near an unfinished bridge, a man with a tool belt catches sight of you. Hey, over there, he calls out. You look like you could use a quick way to get some hard-earned money. Hard-earned is right. The bridge hangs high over a perilous drop.
Yeah, I love a perilous drop. Let's accept.
Great, he exclaims. Suppose you'll want a safety belt. We Thunderbird people don't need 'em. We fly when we fall. He chuckles.
Yeah, belt up, baby.
You find yourself up high, looking over the rushing river that crashes around the foundation of the bridge. As you work side by side, the man mentions, "You can see Thunderbirds up here if you know how to look."
Yeah, how do I see Thunderbirds?
You ask him to explain.
Practice your peripheral vision, if you dare. Last thing you need up here is for them to see you seeing them and come swooping at you.
He says laughingly.
Alright, I'll give it a try.
You only see the clouds thicken. It sure does pass the time working. The man pays you well when you're done with the job.
The bridge builders, okay. Jet Black Crow lines the low branch to you. Look at you. You got some good stories already? Well, I heard better, much better. Seems to wink at you. Want to hear my tricks? Yeah. Okay, now, pathetic stuff. You tell those stories around, they'll come back more exciting, more satisfying. So always listen to the stories other folks tell. Tell so less true, sure, but more useful around the campfire. Yeah, it makes sense. Boss has a point about the true ones, though, the crow admits. They're extra interesting. You want a couple folks' true life stories, and everyone will like them, no matter what kind of story they think they want to hear. Other tips? Well, everyone's captain their destiny. Ain't no bootstraps in the world that can save you now, but the choices you make, they change the kind of story you can tell. Choose wisely or don't. Alright. That's it, Shike. thumb out. Nobody wants to take me.
By nightfall, the hospitality of this sleepy hamlet, combined with their superstitious tales, has both overstuffed your stomach and filled you with a hollow dread. Folks say these woods are full of apparitions, witches, and worse. You curse yourself for getting on the road so late.
All right, let's just keep going.
In the moonlight, every valley and hollow at the feet of the Tappan Zee seems like a stolen shred of the abyss itself. Fireside tales seem less fanciful, and every cackling crow and moaning whippoorwill seems like a demon perched on the shivering, spindly trees. But something cuts through the noise. The muffled sound of hooves galloping on the cold, muddy road. When he finally slows his horse alongside you, it's as though he had just appeared out of the mist.
Hey, buddy.
He's astride a gigantic black courser, and though his boots are muddy and ragged, he wears an immaculate coat with great, shining buttons. From his saddle hangs an antiquated flintlock and a cavalry saber. In the darkness, you can hardly see above his towering shoulders.
Howdy, stranger.
His voice is a rumbling croak, deep, but as though his throat is filled with thorns. Have you happened upon a cannonball around here? You can tell English isn't his first language. German is. His hand, so pale it's almost blue in the moonlight, grips the reins in a fist.
Sorry, I haven't seen that.
You mumble an apology and watch as he silently rides away, back into the mist. He's cloaked in black, you notice from behind, but the blood running down over his shoulders glints crimson in the moonlight.
Oh my. Folks setting up a cooking tent, corn fairground. Then bigger tents rise like clouds. Want to make some cash? The manager asks. Long hot days serving funnel cakes and bussing tables in the dining tents, but you're paid well. That's good. Ooh, buffalo. Buffalo, 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 or whatever.
Low tide on a moonless night. This beach is long, stretching toward a receding sea. In the darkness, the sand seems coarse and gray, alien. The stars are dim and distant.
Just look to the horizon.
It outshines the stars with its presence, a streak of sickly colored light, leaving a trail of distorted fire. It slowly creeps along the sky like a vast worm, though you know that, given the distance, it must be moving at great speed.
Well, that's cool, but let's look back at the shore.
And there, near the water's edge, a human figure. They stand there, transfixed by the light. 1, 2, 3 steps, ankles lowering into the surf. Silent collapse into a black wave, bathed in a nameless color. Then, nothing.
Oh, jeez. All right.
His clothes are expensive, but unkempt. A tailored jacket stretched and warped out of its best fit by long days on the road. His thinning frame weighs down the boxcar next to yours.
You got a light, friend?
Yeah, I got you covered.
You offer a match, which bends and nearly snaps as he scratches it against the pitted iron edge of the boxcar.
Thanks.
He mumbles, perching one last cigarette on his lip.
So, where you going, friend?
Don't rightly know where I'm going.
You notice how deeply wrinkled his clothes are. It's as though a huge hand plucked him from a high society party and crumpled him up like a sheet of paper.
Don't rightly know how I got going either.
No, why not?
They built a railway just past Missy Hudson's estate. Damned racket ruined our soiree. Might have been a few bottles of Armagnac too many when I walked down the tracks to tell them to keep it quiet.
He drags on the cigarette, but you never see him exhale.
I smell of Armagnac. A story. Bars crowded with people from every walk of life, businessmen, young men in muddy overalls, crowded girls in sleeky dresses, preparing their blood alcohol content from out of the town. Squat, sharp-eyed man in a fedora catches their attention. Much a wild story about a shootout between female bootleggers and the cops. Halfway through, he stops, recognizing the look on their face. You know this one? You tell him the story about the woman rescued for bootlegging. That's it? I think I like mine more. It's more exciting, sure. I keep telling him my way, he says. Let's get another round. Do a competitive test on other folks here, shall we? And the night, the whole bar agrees. The new version's better. Might be because your friend bought them all drinks. Love to whistle.
Outside the small thicket of apple trees, the phrase "tended to by John Chapman" is carved into a fence post. Nearby, a hound lies on its side, perfectly still. Flies buzz around its ears. But a grizzled man pauses at his digging to shoo them off.
Yeah, I'll help him.
There's an extra shovel. With it, the two of you make short work of the grave. He tells you about his beliefs, why he's raising apple orchards in the middle of the country. It's a sin to graft, he tells you. Hurts the tree. Eventually, the hole is deep enough.
I shall bear witness.
He stoops to the ground and lowers the pup into the earth. Tears flow freely. I'll see him again in heaven, he tells you. Our souls are bound by love. He wipes his eyes. I don't think I can bear to stay here, though. Maybe I'll sit out again.
Yeah, it's not a bad plan. It's Pittsburgh.
Muddling through the dark, you stumble into the path of the white deer. Its beauty strikes you at once. It is something otherworldly, beyond borders, a moon swimming in the void. Human shouts not far away break the spell. The deer's ears prick up. This thing is being hunted.
Now we're gonna give it a hand. Help the deer.
You know a way out of here. As the hunter's cries get louder, you approach the deer carefully, palms outstretched. As you grow close, your features become clearer in the light of the deer's aura. It bolts into the path of an oncoming train.
Oh, goodness. Hop a train. Here's a story. Let's stop with the old man who shifts from foot to foot, thumbing his suspenders, and watching past the traffic with an anxious focus. Hey, he suddenly turns around. Do you want to hear a good story? Sure. A tale about two brothers who wandered seeking each other for 50 years, confusing himself now and then, backtracking, acting new deers out of order. You barely piece the story together. If he's told you a twisted version of the story about the two brothers who were connected after 30 years apart, but massively changed, with whole new chunks you don't remember. It's true, the old man insists, turning his wincy eye back towards the road, and with that, the conversation seems over. I'm seeking each other for 50 years, sure.
The hotel is an old manor house that's seen better days. A grand structure surmounted by a gambrel roof that dwarfs the house itself. It's eerily still, but for two boys at play. Each one so small and light, they barely leave tracks in the deep snow.
I'm just gonna watch these boys.
They seem old for their size, around 10 years old. Though their clothes are mismatched, they're perfectly identical, down to the pattern of freckles on their pale cheeks. They conduct their games in eerie silence. The clerk behind the counter is old, and your room key is worn. But night approaches, and the price is low. Just before you shut the room door, there they are, the twins, staring at you from the corridor.
Let's just get some sleep.
In the morning, as you leave, the clerk asks, "Did you sleep well?" You tell him it was just perfectly fine. You don't mention the small feet trampling outside your door, or the dreams of blood seeping from the bed frame. You don't say that every shadow seemed to contain something vicious and alien, threatening to escape. The snow is turned to a dirty slush that clings to your shoes. On your way to the road, you feel the stare of 4 tiny eyes somewhere in the shadowed eaves of that crooked house. You hear the whippoorwill first, shrill and close. Then you see him, high up above the black streaks of wires. A lineman, fraying belt holding him to the pole. A damned bird has come to perch on a power line, stare hungrily at the man's soul.
Uh-oh.
He's unsteady. His hands are shaky, and his body sways in the wind. You spot his tool bag next to the pole, worn and frayed, much like the man. A half-gone bottle of cheap rye pokes out of it. What's he gonna
Rye?
do? Come down from the pole? You snatch it from his bag in one quick motion and walk away. "Hey!" he starts. But whatever he's about to say slips into a slurred whine as his belt snaps.
Gotta watch him.
His body plummets. His limbs go slack with the understanding of what is happening to him. He tumbles into the tall, dry grass by the side of the road with a muffled noise. All you hear is the call of the whippoorwill. Eager, loud, thankful.
Drunken Lightning.
Well, I got no companion
Across the river.
except the wind and the sea. And when I'm cold and empty, they're the
Oh, I'm tired.
ones who
Okay.
bury me. See them far and long, 'cause when the night come down for to take me hand in hand, this will be my tale, my vagrant song.
He leans against a fence and turns to face you as you pass him by. At his back is a bag full of bird seed. He assures you that the gawky birds perching on his body are the last remaining passenger pigeons.
Yeah, I thought they were extinct.
They look extinct to you?
You're not sure those dull gray pigeons look anything like the pictures you've seen of passenger pigeons, though you can't help thinking they stare at you a little too intently.
Say, you like birds?
Yeah, I love birds.
They're lovely creatures. Guileless, really.
Hunted damn near to extinction, weren't you? He strokes one of his birds under the chin. You think you see drips of blood flecking the creature's dirty gray head.
Excuse me.
You sense it's about time you start moving on.
You be kind to the little birds now, you hear?
You hurry along the road, though the flapping of ungainly wings seems to follow you for hours.
Charleston. I can barely wait to get through the pleasantries before asking if you heard this one. 110% sure you heard from my nephew, and happened to someone he knows well. It's a story it's telling. It's polished, obviously done many times before. Tell the story of the taxi, which shows writers the future. Recognize the bones of it from your experience with the odd taxi cab in Boston. It's embellished in the interim, though. Or you think the man to move onwards. You have to remember that version, even if it's not quite what happened. It's a good story.
You come across a girl picking wild blueberries. She smiles and greets you.
In.
She offers you some from her birch bark basket.
Well, thank you.
You reach in the basket for blueberries, but pull out a handful of small, smooth stones, all the colors of the rainbow. The snickering girl runs into the trees as fast and light as a rabbit.
I'll just drop them.
The stones tumble from your hand and hit the ground, instantly turning black as the night. Your heart leaps in surprise. How strange. The women are oblivious to your approach. Their eyes are shut. Their touch, where they hold hands, is gentle. They speak in low tones. One stifles a burst of laughter, but it brings a smile to their faces.
Sorry,
Says the one who laughed.
don't be.
Another assures her. They don't look up.
And just pass by quietly. Let them do their thing.
And we give thanks for those who have left us, who we wanted gone, for the skills to thrive without them, and for the companions who make the effort joyful.
voice of the youngest wavers. The woman to her left squeezes her hand. This is not a scene to intrude upon. A few wanderers like you are looking for a place to camp.
We heard there's a Leatherman cave nearby.
They tell you. They describe a locally famous vagrant who hiked this area for almost 30 years.
He's dead now, but his caves are the best place to camp at any town.
Now, where is it?
You and the other wanderers find the cave easily, because someone's lit a fire there. As you approach, you see a silhouette bend over the flames with an odd creaking sound, like a door swinging in the wind. His coat is crudely stitched from leather plates that squeak against each other.
The Leatherman.
One of the others whispers.
A ghost.
The Leatherman must have heard, but he just stares. His face is corpse still.
Of course he isn't a ghost.
He's eating, you say, and point out his can of beans.
Je ne suis pas un fantôme,
The Leatherman says, and adds,
idiot. Oh,
bursts your companion.
Canadien.
Soon, he and the Leatherman are deep in conversation, and your group has a safe place to rest.
Great. Up train. Chattanooga. Sure, why not? Yeah, didn't get any unwanted attention. Good.
A sign in town says a farmer is hiring for the sugarcane harvest. A bag-eyed man drives you and 10 hungry strangers out into the cane, where he leaves you. Everyone gets a hatchet, but no instruction. The foreman is missing for some reason. Nobody is sure what to do. A young man in a red jacket stuffs all the hatchets in his pack.
This is stupid.
He says,
I'm leaving. You can get $5 for a nice axe like this.
He marches off into the cane and others follow.
Don't.
A young woman shouts after them.
It's not right.
Don't know the farmer shit, or I don't know the farmer
You
shit.
trot after the thief. For some reason, though, the path back out to the road is narrower and darker than you remember, and the sun is lower in the sky, and the mud sucks harder at your boots than it did a minute ago. Soon, you've lost track of the others.
Hey, anybody out there?
You're pushing through the cane, coated to your thighs in mud. The sun is missing. You hear voices ahead, but you can't see anyone.
Hey, help!
You stumble out onto the bank of a pit. At the bottom, sugarcane stalks push up, twisted and crazy through a mat of bones, rusted hatchets, and ripped scraps of red jacket. Shit. You turn and bolt through the cane and burst suddenly out onto the dry road and the hot sun.
Hatchet thief can be a strange stuff.
The soldier sits in the dirt with his legs splayed out, like a child would sit. Beneath the tattered fabric of his antique uniform, several open wounds fester in the hot sun.
Lend a hand, traveler?
Now let's help the man.
You kneel in front of the soldier. His body is marked with bullet holes, along with deeper wounds that could be from knives or bayonets. Maggots squirm inside the raw, red flesh.
About time I earned an amputation. You seen any bluebellies around?
Bluebellies?
The soldier leans in, uncomfortably close to inspect your features. Were his pupils solid white before now? He tilts his head, narrows his eyes, sniffs you.
What are you, stranger?
Pardon?
The shadow falls on the soldier's face.
You damn Yankee?
He pulls you in by the wrist and drives a bowie knife into your gut. As the blade bites your flesh, the soldier stares into your eyes, his body dispersing into the wind like a cloud of dandelion seeds.
That hurts.
You emerge from the underbrush and find yourself at the edge of a field. A farmhouse sits at the other end. Close by, a large family is tending to the plants together. They pause and regard you, almost nervously.
Hello there?
The grandmother asks.
Why, hello.
The family is almost too nice to you. When you ask for water, they don't even let you walk to the pump by the house. A child runs back to the shed for a folding chair, and they serve you lemonade in a glass among the lettuce heads.
That's very nice of them.
Halfway through your glass, you notice someone moving furtively down by the house. The cuffs of his white shirt are stained red. The father sees your look and shifts to block your view. His eyes are bright, and his teeth are bared in something like worry.
How do you like your lemonade?
Oh, it's great.
His wife arrives with a bag full of sandwiches for you, and the whole family ushers you back into the woods, waving, wishing you well. You take one look back over your shoulder. The man by the wall is gone.
Great. Farmer who gave you lemonade. Okay.
Is about the only thing I feel, and if it was second chances, I don't know which way I would choose.
Scamp. Oh, Pegida.
I wanted to be the best blues singer in the world. By God, I was.
Hell yeah.
I was born a poor girl in Memphis, Tennessee. No father. He run out. No mama either. She was there, but she weren't there really. All alone but for my Uncle Richard, my baby brother Marcus. All alone but for the guitar. Ooh, how about a story about the dark and scary things in the world?
Yeah, the hatchet thief. That'll work good. That's scary.
Ooh, now, that sends shivers up my spine. I wasn't one to accept death. To live beside it, that wasn't my way. I told myself I was running away to take care of my brother Marcus. But I was just running. I'm in the mood for a good, hopeful story. You got any?
Hopeful, okay. Bondage, traps, imprisonment. Okay. hopeful story. Seagulls and the fishermen, sure.
Oh, that one made me smile. Don't believe what anyone promises you about the future.
That's fair.
I signed a contract. I thought it was to lead to fame and glory. But it was a lie. Tell me a story to make me laugh. I could use a chuckle.
Chuckle. How about the Leatherman's Cave? Could be funny, because they're like, oh, it's a ghost, and it's not a ghost.
Ain't that a chuckle?
Alright, good, it was funny.
Don't have much truck with faith. Only time I ever went to church, it was to hear that gospel choir sing. Ooh. Now I'm in the mood for a story with a bit of that tragedy to it.
Alright, a bit of that tragedy. Okay. It's the couple parted by unemployment.
I'd drink to that. Love. Well, I would have done anything for my brother. Anything, yeah.
That's fair.
Ooh. Now I'm in the mood for a story with a bit of that tragedy to it.
White deer, that's tragic.
That's like a song. Pretty and sad. Oh yeah. I felt freedom. There's nothing like the feeling when you sing and your soul leaves your body. Ah, sun is up. One more night gone. I need to be going. If you want to hear more about the deal I made, you can look for me up the road this way. I was about 25 when I left my first record contract. No more richer than I was before.
Yeah.
Those men took me around like a freak show. Me and my guitar, my sad songs. I didn't know what to do once I was free again. Alone, drinking my sorrows. And that's where the devil found me.
Oh my. Let's go to Nashville. Yes, yeah, blue plate special. Yeah, let's look for work. I changed the corner store. Cashier sticks out the window and says, hey, got some time? Want a little cash? Self moving catches? Yeah, I did this one. That's fine. Alright, I got some money. Little full-size replica of the Parthenon was recently rebuilt, From
the windows of the store, you can hear a radio. turned all the way up, tuned to the Grand Ole Opry show being played across town. Two young girls sit outside listening to the music. Suddenly, it cuts off, and they howl in protest.
Let's talk to the girls.
Despite their obvious vexation, neither of the girls seems inclined to enter the store to see why the broadcast ceased. They seem to be preparing to leave on their bikes. When you approach, one says,
Don't bother. Always stops exactly this time, every week.
Always?
The other one matter-of-factly says,
That's when he died.
before you can ask anything else, they've ridden away.
Let's take a look in the store.
The window is so grimy you can barely see through the glass. But it's obvious there's nothing to see anyway. It's dark and empty. There's certainly no radio, nor any people. Just a lot of sad dust, marked where the furniture used to stand. Old memories, carted away.
Music haunted store,
Tear it down. We gonna drive the hurting hearted gal with a wild and righteous sound. When they try to throw a wall up, ooh, we gonna tear it down. Yeah, when they try
See the way I should be going? I don't know. Let's see. Going towards Kansas, looks like. Let's take it to Kentucky. Take 70. 41. Louisville.
Well, I'm gonna store my I'm gonna dig my heels into the ground. 'Cause when
Let's hear a story.
that ferryman comes,
Break time, half finished bridge. Got a young man who sits in the bucket. They listen to a story about the Leather Band, whose ghost haunts Connecticut. Oh. Story of the Leatherman's Cave, but heavily embellished. Bucket tells it masterfully, doing all the voices you've told it this way 1,000 times before. Come close to what actually happens. First, they're pretty good.
The storm swept in just before sundown, heralded by a purple sky and electricity in the air. He sought shelter alongside a grizzled farmer. All he can do is pace, muttering to himself. Can't just stay here. You catch. Gotta find her.
Who you gotta find?
He looks up at you. My daughter was out down the road. He balls his fists. God, fuck this. He hauls open the door, shielding his face from the fierce dust. He runs out into the storm.
I'll try to help.
The dust scours your skin, and razor winds whip at your clothing. You struggle for breath. The maelstrom has turned the world murky red. You don't see the farmer. You press on through the storm. You see the farmer up ahead. He's on his knees. A great, dark shape made from swirling dust looms over him.
Hey, look out, dude.
You manage no more than a cough. The dust thing engulfs the man in his body. The storm whips faster. You can't breathe. You have to get back to shelter. You make it to safety, but don't manage any sleep. The storm settles in the early hours. You find the farmer laid out in the street, his corpse a shriveled mass. He has one arm stretched out in front of him, as if to crawl.
Oof.
Take me hand in hand. This will be my playground.
The girl tilts her basket away to hide whatever's inside.
You want to see what I got? I'm not telling.
She raises her eyebrows, encouraging you to pry further. This girl is either very confident or too young to know shyness.
I'll show some interest.
Ha! Got you hooked. Too easy.
She twists her lips to one side, mimicking a more adult, thoughtful gesture.
I'll tell you what. I'll show you what's in the basket if you do something for me.
Yeah, okay. What's your favor?
Excellent. I want you to kill my mother.
She looks to check if you're paying attention, then points to a figure working at the other end of the field.
She's boring. She keeps making me work when I want to play.
The girl bursts into peals of laughter. She doubles over the basket, laughing so hard she's barely able to stand. When she can speak again, she says,
You should have seen your face. You really should.
She beckons you over, shows you her basket. 3 kittens snuggle up at the bottom. They're barely old enough to open their eyes.
Ma gave them to me for being good. I've called them Badb, Matcha, and Anand, after a story Nana told me.
She preens.
I'm very clever, you know.
Clearly so.
She waits by the ruined mill, in an overcoat 2 sizes too big.
Look, over here. Look at this.
She yells.
This only happens once every 10 years, for Christ's sake.
She grabs your hand, and you both look at the black gear rolling west to cover the sun. Steadily, the darkness draws across the sun until it is almost total. She clutches your hand tightly.
I've never seen this before. I've never seen this.
The sun, obscured, throbs and expands, raging against the night. The eclipse breaks. The sun surges forward, screaming, burning, writhing in torment.
Oh my god.
Your eyes burn too, as if in retaliation, as if your witness of the sun's humiliation constituted some great insult. You look at her. Her eyes are bleeding.
I do love to stare at an eclipse.
Ride with us a little while, stranger.
It's a kind offer. Miles of dusty road through the rolling prairies have recast this landscape as an exhausting soup of wind and misery.
Yeah, I'll climb aboard.
There are 4 of them on the wagon, a perfect nuclear family. Mother, father, son, daughter, and a small fuzzy terrier trailing behind. But the pace of their movement is glacial. The draft horse ambles forward, one agonizingly slow step at a time.
Why so slow?
Ain't no point rushing to get where we were going.
The wooden cart shivers with every pebble on the road that its wheels must laboriously traverse. The girl in the back pipes up.
The going's the point, see?
Yeah, makes sense. I'll stay with you.
Time stretches wearily. The father sometimes makes half-inch adjustments to the horse's trajectory, keeping him from ambling off the road. There is some intimation that they are heading for Oregon, but at no point is it mentioned when they might arrive.
Yeah, well, all right. Weather crops save the world. All bad getting worse tastes different tack. You like someone likes a good story. Try this one on for size. Repeatedly clearing slow toast the story of a man who had traveled 600 miles to find a single job. Sounds like it's the story of the couple parted by unemployment, with some parts changed and other parts added. It's up to the conclusion of the tale. You give him a few praise he's apparently expecting. You'll have to remember that version, even if it's not quite what happened. It's a good story.
A woman waits while a man in a truck fills 2 of her buckets with scoops of whitish powder from a bin. She sees you staring.
Want to make some cash?
She calls.
Yeah, sure. Doing what?
She takes you up the drive to her farmhouse, where her son and daughter are mixing something in a metal barrel.
Locust bait,
She says.
poison. The town bought enough for everyone, but we gotta mix it ourselves.
She'll pay you to help.
Sure.
You use a broom handle to mix the poison with bran. The teens watch from the porch, faces frozen in distrustful scowls. Their mother pays you well, but later in the day you feel lightheaded, tingling pins and needles all over. You feel only a little better after you vomit.
Illinois. There we go, San Luis. That's what I'm looking for. My old hometown. Here we are, St. Louis. I'm like nearly dead, so it's... Oh yeah, gooey butter cake. That's the St. Louis classic right there. Looks in the state of job list, they say. In St. Louis, home to America's largest Hooverville. Yeah. Feeling good about today, crows a young man. Lines off the factory. Today's our lucky day. Shut up, Bill. They're trying to say that no one's hiring. I'll side with Bill. Taking on commerce, shouts the floor manager. I knew it. Fuck you, Bill. What to do with this?
It's nearly Christmas. Many are drinking liberally. A man staggers up from a downstairs bar and falls over the top step. Help me! You can barely hear his voice over the traffic.
For God's sake, help!
People tut at the man's drunken state. A woman tosses a coin at him without even looking. The drunk clasps at his gut and looks straight at you.
Help me. Please.
He lifts his hand from his stomach. His palm is red with blood.
Yeah, I'll help you staunch the bleeding, buddy.
You press a cloth on the wound, and he hisses with agony. Another man strides up the stairs, laughing. He looks at the bleeding man, sweeps his Stetson off in a theatrical bow, then turns to you.
You best mind your own.
He steps forward, smiling toothily. He twitches his jacket up and rests his hand just above a pistol.
Good evening to you.
Tipping his Stetson in a gesture of farewell, he walks fast, but not fearfully, and does not look back.
Let's help him out.
The bleeding man collapses into a fetal position. His clothes are saturated, and a bloody puddle has formed around him. There's nothing you could have done to save him. You could speak to the police, but you didn't see the killing blow.
Also, I don't want to speak to the police. Gunshot man left to die on the streets of St. Louis. Christ. Okay. Well, we started our journey. Told some stories, heard some stories. I think that's probably it for today. But maybe we'll find that place where the water tastes like wine. You never know. A lot of stories to hear, a lot of things to see in this great country. Or not great country, depending on your opinion, but you know, we'll go from that. Alright, thanks for joining me this morning. I'll see you later.